Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you my Marseille sweater from PetiteKnit. So if you're familiar with PetiteKnit patterns, you're probably saying that this doesn't look like a Marseille sweater. The Marseille sweater is supposed to have stripes that come across the body as well as the arms. However, she recently released the melange pattern, which I absolutely adored, but I felt like I couldn't justify getting both patterns just because they both have the same sort of stylistic lines of that drop shoulder sort of design with a folded neckband. So I decided to use a pattern that I already had, the Marseille, to get the look of the melange sweater. So to make this sweater, I've actually held two yarns together throughout the entire time. Both of these are Knit Pick Stroll and the colorway Frozen and Kiwi. These are sort of like tonal yarns. They're hand-dyed tonal yarns, which I don't think I would do next time because I think it ended up making this just look like a variegated sweater instead of the melange look. I think it would be better to use two solid color yarns instead of two tonal colored yarns. But you live and you learn, and I do like how it turned out, even if it doesn't look exactly like I had envisioned in my mind. The two yarns held together means that you sort of get a random sort of distribution of what color shows up on top, and it gives you a sort of heavy DK gauge. My gauge on this was a little bit bigger than the Marseille pattern. So what I ended up doing is I said, okay, I wanted a medium in the melange, which is a 45-inch bust. Based on my gauge, what size do I have to knit in the Marseille to get a 45-inch bust? And what I ended up with is knitting the extra small. So I've made it an extra small in this, but it sort of fits like a medium in the melange sweater. I am planning to make the Marseille sweater in the standard sort of like cream with navy stripes down the road, and in that case I probably will make my measurement size, which would be a medium. I do think that the neck on this one is a little bit bulky. I might put in some elastic just around here to help like cinch it in a little bit more. I was hoping that the neckline kind of looked like my Moby sweater, which definitely stretched out a bit and has a little bit more relaxed feel, whereas this one feels like it's a little closer in. One of the things that's sort of interesting about this pattern is it's actually constructed in a way that it's completely seamless along this shoulder seam. So you use a provisional cast on and you do some short rows to get sort of shaping in there, but there's no actual physical seam in that shoulder, which really lets that drop shoulder sort of like droop down because you don't have any of that structure holding it into place. Now the construction was interesting, but I don't know if it's worth it because all of those different short rows on there mean that you still sort of like see the seam even if there isn't actually a physical seam there. In terms of length on this, it took me a really long time to knit. I do think that the bottom is a very, very chunky rib, which I tend to like a lot. And then of course I did 2 rows of double knitting before finishing with the Italian bind off. Same with the arms. Went with really, really chunky ribbing just because I think it tends to look really nice and I like it. In terms of amount of yarn that I've used, I bought 3 of each color and this is all that I have left. I did find that the Kiwi tended to have less yardage in it than the Frozen, which was a little bit frustrating. You would think that both of these being the same type of yarn from the same supplier, the same weight, they would have the same yardage, but they did not. And then when I was making this, I was worried about how much yarn I was going to have left, so I sort of stopped in the middle here once I got through the first skein of each color, and then I did the sleeves and then came back to do the rest. And when I got to the ribbing, I did some math weighing what yarn I had left, how much yarn was used in a single row, so I could make sure that I had enough to do the big thick ribbing that I wanted to. Originally I was planning to do the ribbing another ½ of an inch longer, but then once I saw how it looked, I thought, no, it's fine the way it is. I think I like it at 4 inches. I'm planning to wear this sweater more in the summertime on cooler nights because it is a nice, bright, fun, in your face sort of color. It's not really what I envision wearing in the winter time when I'm cozy. This is a super wash yarn, so it does have a little bit more versatility in terms of throwing it on and off and not having to be so careful with it. So I hope you've enjoyed my look at my Marseille turned melange sweater, and I will see everyone next time. Take care.